In this video, we'll be looking at how to find the sums of geometric series. So just like with arithmetic series, we have a formula that lets us find the sum of the first n terms of a geometric series. The formula is right here. S sub n, which is the sum of the first n terms, is equal to a sub 1 times, big parentheses, 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. Now, you'll notice we need a couple of pieces of information here in order to fill this in. Specifically, we're going to need to know what our first term is, and we're going to need to know what the common ratio r is. So let's look at an example. We want to find, in this case, the sum of the first 7 terms of the sequence that goes 3 plus -6 plus 12 plus -24 and so on. So let's start trying to fill in the blanks here. We know that a sub 1 is 3, and you can probably tell just by looking at this one that to get from here to here, I have to do times -2. So we know that r is -2, which that should be enough information for us to fill in our summation formula for s sub 7. A sub 1 is 3, so we'll fill that in. And then we're going to open up the big parentheses, and we have 1 minus -2 to the n, well, -2 to the n is 7 in this case, over on the bottom 1 minus just -2. And now we've filled in all of the pieces. We can do a little bit of math here. -2 to the 7th is -128. So this is now 3 times 1 minus -128 over 1 minus -2. And then we can actually do the subtraction now, which will give us 3 times 1 minus -128 is 129 over 1 minus -2 is 3. Finish doing out this multiplication, and your final result is just 129. Second example, find the sum of the sequence or the series defined here from the first term to the 5th term. So that means we're finding s sub 5. So again, we're going to need to know what a sub 1 is, first of all. Well, in this case, we can just plug in 1 to find a sub 1. So we have 1/3 times 1 minus 1, which is just 1/3 to the 0. 1/3 to the 0, or anything to the 0, is just 1. We're also going to need to know what r is. Now, an easy way to find r is just to find what a sub 2 is, and then divide a sub 2 divided by a sub 1. So we'll just find a sub 2, 1/3 to the 2 minus 1, which is 1/3 to the 1, or just 1/3. Well, this will give us that r, which is a2 divided by a1, is just 1/3 over 1, or 1/3. So now we have a sub 1, and we have r. That's enough to find our answer. So our summation here of the first 5 terms is going to be, if we fill in our formula, a sub 1 is 1. Then we have 1 minus r to the n, in this case is going to be 1/3 to the 5th. And then at the bottom we have 1 minus r, which is 1 minus 1/3. We can keep going from here. This is going to be, I'm actually going to drop this 1 now because multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. But in our numerator, we will have 1 minus 1/3 to the 5th is 1 over 243, because 3 to the 5th is 243. And then at the bottom, we have 1 minus 1/3, which is just 2/3. We can keep going from here. This is the same as 1 minus 243 is 242 over 243. which is still all divided by 2/3. And then an easy way to rewrite this is to say that dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we'll do 242 over 243 times 3/2. And when you do that out, you should get 726 over 486, which is just, if you simplify it, 121 over 81.